Hi everyone! Today we're going to be making our own pesto sauce. So the first thing we're going to start off by doing is taking 3 bunches of basil and peeling off all the leaves. It's up to you can keep some of the stems in, it helps make it heartier, or if you don't want to include them, you don't have to. Amber and I both have our own basil plants that we grow at home, but you can also get big bunches for a good price at your local farmer's market. A lot of times you can get it at the grocery store too, but since it can be expensive, the local farmer's market might be your best bet. Next up, we're going to rinse the basil leaves, and this is just to make sure that they're clean because we won't actually be cooking the sauce, we're just going to blend it up, so we want to make sure we get all the germs off. Now we're just going to shake off some of the excess water. Next we're going to take 2 cloves of garlic and we're going to peel them and chop them up. Chopping them up is actually an optional step because we'll be throwing them in a blender and they're going to get blended up anyway. If you don't have fresh garlic at home, you can also substitute in minced garlic. A half a teaspoon equals 1 clove, so you'd need a full teaspoon for this recipe. You can also try using garlic powder, except that won't contribute to the body and the mouthfeel of the pesto sauce. Amber's going to show off her knife skills a little bit more and chop up this garlic, but as I said before, this is an optional step since it is going into a blender. If you don't like that much garlic, you can always cut back on the amount that goes into the sauce. This might be something that you tweak over time, maybe next time you might add a little bit more or add a little bit less based on your tastes. So first we're going to add our olive oil to the blender, and this is a heart-healthy fat and it helps form a great base for the basil pesto sauce. Then we're going to scoop in our garlic. Now we're going to start putting some of the basil into the blender. We're not going to start off with the whole batch because if we do, we might clog the blades. We're going to put in a little bit and we're going to blend it up and then we'll have to add some more. So this is something we're going to do in batches. Amber's using a magic bullet to blend up our pesto sauce today, but you can also use a regular blender. And you can also use a food processor. Once the oil and the basil is blended up really well and starts to get liquidy, you know it's time to add in some more basil leaves. Once you've packed the rest of the leaves in, it's time to go back to the blender. The best part of making your own pesto sauce is that you get to control the consistency and the texture. So if you like your basil to be a little bit leafier in the pesto sauce, you just don't blend it up as long. Now we're just going to add in a dash of black pepper, no measuring needed. And we're going to add in our 1/3 cup pine nuts. Amber's actually using almonds because they were a cheaper option at the grocery store. We've also made this recipe with walnuts, which also tastes good, so you can really use any nut that's available at the grocery store. To keep the recipe as affordable as possible, Amber and I usually just use Parmesan cheese, but feel free to experiment if you want. You can use all sorts of cheese, including Pecorino, Romano, maybe even some Asiago, just to kick it up a notch. And then Amber just added a dash of salt, which is optional. Then back to blending. The best part about this recipe is that it doesn't use a lot of bowls and pans. You're really just adding everything into the same blending cup. Now personally, this is my favorite part. The pesto sauce is done and ready to be served. And Amber and I use this for all sorts of things. You can add it to pasta, you can add it to chicken, you can mix it with couscous or quinoa as a little side dish. Amber and I both pack a lunch every day, so we also like to use it as a spread on our sandwiches. And there you have it, everyone. Presto Pesto.